Welcome, everyone, to our podcast on the Capricorn Horoscope 2025. I'm your host, and with me is my co host. Today, we're going to explore the themes of discipline, achievement, and the shifting planetary influences that will shape the year for Capricorns. So let's dive right in. First up, let's talk about the overarching theme of 2025 for Capricorns. What do you think, co host?
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. The overarching theme for Capricorns in 2025 is discipline and achievement. It seems like this year is all about hard work and persistence. But what exactly does that mean in practical terms? How can Capricorns make the most of this year?
Absolutely. It's a year of potential growth and achievement, but it requires effort. The horoscope emphasizes that rewards will come through hard work and discipline. For instance, if you're working on a big project at work, this is the year to put in extra hours and stay focused. It's also a great time to set achievable goals and stick to them. The key is to stay proactive and maintain a positive attitude. This sets the tone for the entire year. What do you think about setting goals, co host?
Setting goals is definitely important, but it can feel overwhelming. Are there any specific areas where Capricorns should focus their efforts? Like, are there any particular month or times of the year that are more favorable for achieving these goals?
Great question. The first few months of the year and after mid May can be challenging, but overall, 2025 is a favorable year. For example, after March, Saturn's influence becomes more beneficial, boosting confidence and energy. This is a perfect time to tackle major projects or make significant career moves. The period following March is especially ideal for job changes if you're considering one. So it's a good idea to plan your big moves around this time. Any thoughts on this, co host?
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds like March is a turning point. Speaking of turning points, let's talk about the shifting planetary influences. How do Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Mercury affect Capricorns in 2025? Can you give us some examples of how these planets will influence different aspects of life?
Certainly. Saturn is a key player. Initially, its influence hinders progress, especially in business, but after March, it becomes more favorable, boosting confidence and energy. Jupiter is positive in the first half of the year, particularly for education, finances, love, and marriage. However, its move to the sixth house after mid May reduces its direct beneficial impact. Rahu's influence on the second house, especially after May, presents challenges related to diet, finances, and communications. Mercury, on the other hand, supports academic performance and business outcomes throughout much of the year. For example, if you're a student, the first half of the year is ideal for taking competitive exams, and if you're in business, Mercury will help with negotiations and contracts. Any questions on the planetary influences, co host?
Wow, that's a lot to consider. Let's focus on health for a moment. The horoscope mentions that health will improve overall, particularly after March. Can you elaborate on this? What can Capricorns do to maintain their health throughout the year?
Absolutely. Health is expected to improve, especially after March, when Saturn's influence shifts. However, a disciplined diet is crucial, particularly after May due to Rahu's influence. Capricorns should avoid irregular eating habits and be cautious with pre-existing conditions related to the mouth, stomach, genitals, or chest. Regular exercise and a balanced diet will go a long way. For instance, if you have a history of digestive issues, it's a good idea to stick to a consistent meal schedule and avoid heavy, greasy foods. What do you think about maintaining a healthy diet, co host?
Maintaining a healthy diet is always a challenge, but it sounds like it's especially important for Capricorns this year. Moving on to education, the horoscope mentions that the first half of the year is highly favorable for education. Can you tell us more about this? Are there any specific areas of study that will benefit the most?
Definitely. The first half of the year is highly favorable for education, particularly higher studies and religious studies. Jupiter's transit in the fifth house positively influences fortune and the first house, making it an excellent time for academic pursuits. This is also beneficial for students studying away from home. For example, if you're planning to apply for a graduate program or study abroad, the first half of the year is ideal. The latter half may still bring success, but Mercury will be more directly supporting academic performance. Any thoughts on this, co host?
That's really encouraging for students and those in higher education. Let's talk about business and career. The horoscope suggests that business outcomes will be better than the previous year. Can you share some insights on how Capricorns can maximize their career opportunities in 2025?
Certainly, business outcomes are projected to be better than the previous year, but there may be some disruptions early in the year. Saturn's improved influence after March and Jupiter's transit during the first half will bring positive results. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, this is a good time to launch new projects or expand your business. Positive work relationships are likely during the first half of the year due to Jupiter's transit. However, increased effort will be required after mid-May, along with awareness of potential competitive behavior. It's also important to choose your communications carefully due to Rahu's influence. For instance, if you're in a leadership role, maintaining open and transparent communication with your team will be crucial. Thoughts on this, co-host?
That's very helpful advice. Now, let's shift to financial matters. The horoscope mentions that financial results will be average to slightly better than average. How can Capricorns navigate the financial landscape in 2025? Are there any specific tips or strategies they should keep in mind?
Financial matters are expected to be average to slightly better than average. Jupiter supports financial gains in the first half of the year, but challenges are expected in saving money due to the combined influences of Saturn and Rahu. Capricorns should be cautious and plan their finances carefully. For example, it's a good idea to create a budget and stick to it, and to avoid unnecessary expenses. Additionally, investing in long-term financial goals can be beneficial. If you're saving for a big purchase like a house or a car, this is a good time to start planning and saving. Any thoughts on financial planning, co-host?
That's excellent advice. Let's move on to love and relationships. The first 3 months of the year are particularly favorable for romantic relationships. Can you tell us more about this? How can Capricorns maintain a healthy relationship after March when the influences shift?
Absolutely. The first 3 months of the year are favorable for romantic relationships due to Jupiter's influence. After March, Saturn and Jupiter's transit into the sixth house may introduce coldness and arguments. To maintain a healthy relationship, it's important to avoid stubbornness and focus on positive feelings. Communication is key. For example, if you're in a long-term relationship, make an effort to spend quality time together and address any issues openly and constructively. If you're single, the first half of the year is a great time to meet new people and potentially find a significant other. What do you think about maintaining a healthy relationship, co-host?
Communication and quality time are so important. Let's talk about marriage. The horoscope suggests that the first half of the year is particularly favorable for marriage arrangements. Why is this the case, and what can Capricorns do to make the most of this period?
The first half of the year, especially before mid-May, is favorable for marriage arrangements. Jupiter's influence makes this an ideal time to intensify efforts and resolve matrimonial matters. If you're planning to get married, this is the time to finalize arrangements and make any necessary preparations. For example, if you're planning a wedding, start booking venues and vendors now. After this time, fewer opportunities may arise, so it's important to take advantage of the favorable period. Any thoughts on this, co-host?
That's really helpful. Finally, let's talk about family and domestic life. The horoscope mentions that family matters will improve overall, with relief after March. How can Capricorns ensure a harmonious family life throughout the year?
Family matters are expected to improve overall, with significant relief after March from Saturn's negative influences. Occasional misunderstandings may occur after May due to Rahu, but major issues are not expected. To ensure a harmonious family life, it's important to communicate openly and resolve conflicts quickly. For example, if you have children, spend quality time with them and be involved in their activities. If you have a partner, make an effort to support each other and work together as a team. Domestic life is also projected to improve after March with the end of Saturn's third aspect on the fourth house. Any final thoughts, co-host?
That's great advice. And let's not forget about land, property, and vehicles. The horoscope suggests improvements in these areas after March. Can you tell us more about this? How can Capricorns take advantage of these opportunities?
Certainly. Improvements in land and property matters are expected after March, with Saturn's favorable transit facilitating land deals. For example, if you've been considering buying or selling property, this is a good time to do so. Vehicle purchases are also more likely after March due to the shifting influence of Saturn. If you're in the market for a new car, start your research now and be prepared to make a purchase when the time is right. Any final thoughts, co host?
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for all these insights and practical tips. This has been a really informative and engaging podcast. To wrap up, can you share any final advice for Capricorns to make the most of 2025?
Absolutely. The key to making the most of 2025 is to embrace discipline and persistence. By setting achievable goals, maintaining a positive attitude, and being proactive, Capricorns can navigate the challenges and maximize the opportunities presented by the planetary influences. Remember, the second half of the year is particularly favorable, so plan accordingly. Thank you, co host, for joining me today, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hope you found this podcast helpful and informative. Join us next time for more insights and advice. Have a great day.